the tireless hostage families, and all who helped make this moment happen. Over the last 2 years, I've gotten to know many of these hostage families well. I've been inspired by their strength and their courage and their persistence. They never gave up. They were here all the time in bringing their loved ones home. And now, after so long, so much pain, so many sleepless nights, it warms my heart to see the joyous images of those families and many others reuniting with their loved ones. But as we all know, there's still a whole lot of work to be done. I remain fully committed to bringing home the remains of all the hostages who have died in captivity, essential in Jewish law and Jewish burial, including the remains of my two constituents, Omer Nutra and Itai Hen. Hirsch Goldberg, Poland's mother Rachel, reminded us of the beautiful Jewish teaching during Sukkot that sums up this moment so fiercely. She said, "There's a time to sob, and there's a time to dance, and we have to do both right now." Of course, they lost their loved one. They lost their child. This ceasefire represents a real opportunity to finally ensure a lasting end to this painful war, to surge humanitarian assistance and relief to the suffering Palestinians in Gaza, to make progress on negotiations for stability and governance in Gaza, to ensure this is more than just a temporary ceasefire. And finally, to build a lasting peace ultimately through a two-state solution. For the last year on this floor, I told both the Trump administration, the Netanyahu administration, and everybody else that the best and only long-term solution to ultimate long-term peace in the Middle East is a two-state solution. Well, now there's a potential opening to get that, and everyone involved must move in that direction, even if we have to move mountains. It ensures security, prosperity, and dignity for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Only then will a true peace be realized. On Argentina, if Americans want to know just how little Donald Trump seems to care about their health care, look at what he's doing today in the Oval Office. As we speak, the administration is approving $20 billion in taxpayer dollars to bail out Argentina in the middle of a shutdown. I have just one question. If this administration has $20 billion to spare for a MAGA-friendly foreign government, how can they say we don't have the money to lower health care costs here at home? The overwhelming majority of Americans say we need help with our health care, and they're busy spending $20 billion because Trump seems to really like the leader of Argentina. They're both sort of MAGA types. The administration is giving this money away to help Argentina's hard-right president in his election, where his party is in serious trouble. It's a bailout, it's nonsensical, and at the same time, the American people are frightened, scared, worried about losing their health care. It makes no sense to give money to Argentina and then say we don't have enough money to help Americans with health care. It is so against what Americans want. I'm sure if we had a vote here in this country, it would be 99-1 almost that the money belongs here, and that's what we should be focused on. Meanwhile, farmers across America are looking at this Argentina bailout on one side and wondering whose side the administration is on. It's been a devastating year for our soybean farmers because this administration has bungled trade talks with Beijing, and as a consequence, they've killed our soybean exports to that country. Now China is looking precisely to Argentina to cut new soybean deals, while our farmers at home suffer backbreaking losses. And on top of all that, you mean to tell me the administration's fine sending $20 billion of taxpayer dollars to help foreign farmers compete against American farmers here at home in the middle of a shutdown? It's insane, utterly insane. This Argentina bailout is a slap in the face to both American farmers and to working families worried about keeping their health care. So I'll say it again. If this administration has $20 billion to spare for a MAGA-friendly foreign government, they cannot turn around and say we don't have the money to lower health care costs here at home. because those costs are going through the roof. On the shutdown. On day 14 of the Trump shutdown, I want to remind everybody why we're here in the first place. Democrats have made it very clear, day in, day out, we want to open the government and have a serious negotiation to fix the health care premium crisis that is set to wallop the American people. Nearly everyone agrees that looming ACA premium hikes is a devastating problem. The public knows it, we Democrats know it, the White House privately knows it, and even many Republicans here in Congress know it. They admit it. And yet, Republicans remain dug in and insist there's nothing to negotiate when it comes to health care, that they won't even sit down and talk with Democrats about it. That makes no sense. That's not the way we always get our CRs done. The Republican leader has now scheduled 7 votes on the Republican partisan CR, and it has failed to secure enough votes to pass this chamber each time. That means, like it or not, the Republican leader needs to work with Democrats in a bipartisan way to reopen the government, just as we did when we passed 13 CRs when I was majority leader. Last week, we saw what happens when Republicans choose to work with Democrats in a serious way. We passed the NDAA with the National Defense Bill, with a strong bipartisan vote. We need the same enthusiasm from Republicans that we saw in the NDA here in the health care issue. And of course, the biggest roadblock right now to reopening the government is the Speaker of the House. The Speaker has now kept Congress on vacation for 3 weeks. It's just incredible. Government workers must work without getting paid. House Republicans get paid without working. Johnson continues to insist there is nothing to negotiate. But I want to make one point very clear. Republican leaders can say all they want, there's nothing to negotiate. But if Republicans don't change course, then very soon 20 million Americans are going to face financial catastrophe when their health care premiums go through the roof. And many more Americans will face it than the 20 million, but 20 million are right on the front lines here because of the ACA. That is reality Republicans can't make disappear by just digging in. The ACA premium crisis is not a fix-it-later issue, but rather a fix-it-now issue, because open enrollment starts in less than a month. And window shopping has already begun in several states where people have the awful choice. Should I go without health care altogether with my family? What if my kid or my spouse or myself gets sick? Or should I cut back on almost everything else because I need to pay huge increases in my health care insurance? So Republicans may think they can dig in until the next ice age, but a fork in the road is coming their way whether they like it or not. Either work with Democrats to fix ACA premiums or sit by as 20 million Americans pay thousands of dollars more out of pocket. If Republicans remain dug in, the American people will hold them responsible for rising health care costs. If Republicans do nothing, then they will be the ones triggering a massive health care panic that will be felt from coast to coast. This is a non-negotiable fact. Democrats want to avoid reaching that point. We want to work in a serious way with our Republican colleagues and with President Trump to diffuse this health care crisis before it starts. But we're running out of time. Now, I want to close by speaking briefly on an extremely disturbing report I just read in Politico. Earlier today, Politico published a story purporting to show thousands of private messages containing racist, sexist, and violent comments from young Republican leaders across the country. The leaked conversations are revolting. They make you want to throw up. They include comments supposedly from young Republican leaders saying things like, quote, "I love Hitler." Can you believe it? They include gas chamber jokes. How sick. They include racist obscenities, including the N-word. They include jokes about sexual assault. Many of these individuals who have allegedly made these comments have positions of leadership in the young Republican organization. It's hard to believe. You can't make this up. And it's awful. It's revolting. It's disgusting. It's obnoxious. It's the kind of garbage the worst kinds of people say when they think no one is watching. If this report is accurate, Every single Republican leader, from President Trump on down, including every Republican senator, including the Republican National Committee, ought to condemn these comments swiftly and unequivocally. And the people should no longer have any position of power in any Republican organization. People who said it. At this delicate political moment, Mr. President, party leaders of all sides have an obligation to speak out against this kind of violent and vile rhetoric. Republicans, leaders cannot be silent if these sickening reports are true. I yield the floor.